don't know what you got till you're 22. Got a mortgage hung around your neck. Come on, what we lead as an accident. No one to blame and no bullet spent. Oh, we lead as an accident. No one to blame, no bullet spent.
This is Art Deco, and you're listening to WSYC, Shippensburg, Pennsylvania.
And welcome back to another session of Behind the Scenes. I'm Maddie. Unfortunately, Caitlin couldn't be here today. She got stuck in the big snowstorm that we were getting when we went home for Thanksgiving. They were basically like telling us that we were just going to get hit with just about everything: snow, sleet, ice, freezing rain, just everything. But she got stuck in the snowstorm, so she couldn't be here today. So you just have me for today. So I wanted to say happy Thanksgiving one more time to everybody, and now happy December. My Thanksgiving was pretty good. I went home Tuesday after our show. I got to spend time with my family, with my parents, with my sisters, with my dog and my cat, Buster and Olivia. Oh my gosh, I love them so much. Sometimes Buster slightly more than Olivia, but you know. Let's see. We then went to my aunt's house out in Harrisburg, and had dinner out there with them and dessert. We also then went back to my other grandparents' house, and we had dessert with that side of the family. So it was really, really nice. But I like, besides dinner, besides being with family, like all that stuff, I love that stuff. But I do really love Thanksgiving morning before we get to the dinner stuff, because that's when it's kind of just for the 5 of us to kind of be at the house just for a few hours before we go get our family stuff on. So this year was actually a little different. My dad and my sister decided to run in like one of those 5Ks that they have Thanksgiving morning. And me, my other sister, and my mom, we were like, we're not doing that. We're not running a 5K. It's too cold out. We don't feel like doing it. So we stayed in the nice warm house, and we like to watch the Thanksgiving Day parade, and we like to have orange rolls. It's those like cinnamon rolls, but instead of like the regular like white sugar icing, I guess it's an orange icing, and it's amazing. So that's our tradition for like all holidays. So we have those, and then we watch the Thanksgiving Day parade. We really like to watch the beginning, and we like to watch all of the Broadway shows come on. So this year it was oh my gosh, I'm going to forget them all. It was Beetlejuice, which was an amazing show. Like just that little snippet of it, I was like, oh my gosh, that is so cool. So Beetlejuice came on. There was Tina, which was the Tina Turner musical. That girl who was Tina Turner, I'm not sure of her name. I couldn't find it super easily, but oh my gosh, she was absolutely amazing. And then they brought out, so that woman was probably in her 30s maybe, and then they brought out during Proud Mary, they brought out a little girl who I'm assuming is like at the beginning of the musical, and they kind of, because it's one of those musicals where they show kind of her life, her journey, her musical journey, and they brought out this little girl, and she sang her little heart out, and I was like, oh my gosh, I want to know where they found her. She was so cute, and she had this big, powerful voice. She couldn't have been more than maybe 10 to 12 maybe, but oh my gosh, that voice on her was amazing. Some of the other shows was Hadestown, and there was one at the beginning, and it's driving me crazy. I can't remember what it was, but they were all really, really good. I knew most of the ones that they had on this year, but there was one that I didn't know what it was, but it was a really cool number. But yeah, so, and then of course the Rockettes come out at the end and they do their kick line, and this year they were dressed up as reindeer and they were super, super cute. I loved it. They were in this like brown, almost like a brown like suit, like a tuxedo kind of a thing, but obviously it was conformed a little bit and they could show their legs off and everything, and it was super, super fun. So I was a little disappointed because I really wanted to see Moulin Rouge, and I was hoping Moulin Rouge was going to be in the Broadway lineup for this year, but it wasn't. But maybe next year, who knows? That's like the next Broadway musical that I want to go and see. I love the movie. I've listened to the Broadway soundtrack of it on on YouTube and stuff, or on Spotify, and I love the musical version of it even more because it's one of those they bring in to tell a story of like kind of because the story takes place in like the 1899 or 1901 or something, like right around there in that era, but like the initial transition from the 19th century to the 20th century, but they use a lot of modern music. So in the movie they had songs like Diamonds Are a Girl's Best Friend, Madonna's Like a Virgin, and kind of songs from mid to late 20th century. But now for the musical, they've definitely updated. There's some Lady Gaga in there. There's I'm trying to think off the top of my head. There's Adele. There's some Katy Perry in there. So it's really cool the way they did that. So I was kind of hoping to see them, but unfortunately they weren't. But the rest of the musicals were great. I think I said one of them was Hadestown. Hadestown won quite a few Tony Awards. The lead girl, she was in the revival of Miss Saigon they did, I think, 5 years ago. She was amazing in that. I've seen the little video part of the like a video version of that show, and it was amazing. But yeah, so that's kind of my Thanksgiving story for that was the morning, and then we got to see family and everybody, and some people I haven't seen in a while. So it was a very nice day. So I'm hoping everybody else's Thanksgiving was great. All right, so let's get into some news. So there's some kind of controversy going on. Gabrielle Union and Julianne Hough, they were judges on the most recent season of America's Got Talent, which was season 14. And they both, like I said, they both served as judges. But they were both fired after this season. And while initially that was kind of like, you know, everyone knows that AGT, they go through different judges, they go through different hosts, they go through, you know, all these different people. But the thing with this, though, is there was a lot of backlash following people finding out that Gabrielle Union had been fired, but also because Julianne Hough had been fired, because there was a lot of like, well, the two women are being replaced, but Simon Cowell and Howie Mandel and Terry Crews are all still on there, and it was kind of a whole Time's Up, Me Too kind of a thing, which is one part of it. There was another part of probably a more bigger controversy even following Gabrielle Union's firing. They're following the news that she had been fired as a judge and wouldn't be coming back. There were reports that detailed toxic and racist backstage culture that she allegedly endured, and she did report during the production. This is what Deadline has written, has stated. They also said producers allegedly rejected her concerns and retaliated by terminating her contract. But Gabrielle Union is, she's a really good actress. Probably one of her biggest roles that a lot of people know her from is Bring It On, which is a cheerleading movie I think from 15-ish years ago. She's definitely one of those. She's not afraid to speak her mind, which I think, especially in today's climate, or in today's industry, and following the Me Too movement from a few years ago, is definitely, I think, a good thing. Not to get not to get too political or anything, but again, a lot of these issues kind of go into all of that. She was outspoken when Jay Leno appeared as a guest judge, and I guess this never made it into the final cut of the episode, so it never officially aired, but he apparently made a racist joke about Korean restaurants while taping a segment of the show. She had reported it, made concerns, and it was cut from the show, and it never aired. So she was outspoken about that. Again, this is what Deadline is stating. They also said that the network, which was NBC, also reportedly discouraged Union from wearing a variety of hairstyles that were allegedly deemed too black for viewers. But Union expressed her concerns that contestants had overstepped while impersonating celebrities of color. Okay, it is 2019. Yes, she is a black actress. She has this beautiful hair, and it's hair. It's, most women like to do their hair, like to do it up, like to, it could be as simple as a ponytail. It could be as simple as putting a lot of hairspray on it and teasing it and putting it up on the top of your head. Yes, she's a black actress. Yes, she likes to do her hair. Yes, she likes to have it different ways. She likes to have, I don't get why that is such an issue. I really don't. She's been in the spotlight for more than 20 years now. And that's the thing. As far as entertainment goes, we have grown so much, and yet we have not grown enough. And that is the stuff that gets me. However, NBC and the producers of the show said in a joint statement, America's Got Talent has a long-running history of inclusivity and diversity in both our talent and the acts championed by the show. The judging and host lineup has been regularly refreshed over the years, and that is one of the reasons for AGT's enduring popularity. NBC and producers take any issue on set seriously. I guess I would hope that this would change or allow for changes to come on in the future. This I don't think was handled very right, and they are definitely being called out by a lot of other celebrities, including Ellen Pompeo, Ariana Grande, and Deborah Messing. They're weighing in on the issue. Gabrielle Union's husband, who's an NBA champion, Dwayne Wade, he also weighed in, coming to the support of his wife and everything. So there's definitely a lot to look at here as far as this one goes. All right, with that, we're going to take a little break. We'll be back. We'll be right back. All right, and we're back. So I had said earlier that Caitlin got caught in our huge snow in a big storm that was coming our way. But as far as Shippensburg, we really didn't get anything. We just got a whole lot of rain. So let's see. For today, the high is going to be 42. The low is going to be 32. Kind of off and on, partly cloudy, kind of all day. Wednesday looks like a high of 44 and a low of 34. And for mostly cloudy. And Thursday is a high of 41 and a low of 32, mostly sunny. So it looks like a nice week here in Shippensburg for the most part. All right. So I have one more kind of story that it, in some ways could be similar to, it could be similar to the Gabrielle Union story, just in that it's 2019, we're still having issues, and no one seems to be listening to each other or talking to each other, and nothing's happening, and honestly, it makes me kind of sad. So, let's see. So Louis Van Amstel, he for some people might know him. He was on some of the earlier seasons of Dancing with the Stars. I'm not sure if he's back on it now or not. I don't think he is, but he was on some of the earlier seasons. He told a story about his son, who is currently in the final stages of the adoption process with his husband. So his son is 11 years old. He's in 5th grade. And he came home and was telling his dad the story about the substitute teacher that he had. So the substitute teacher she was there right before Thanksgiving, and she asked all the students in her class, what are you most thankful for? And both he and his husband were like, "Oh, that's so sweet. That's so sweet. Like that's a nice thing to go around and tell everybody." When the teacher got to their son, he said that he was thankful that he was finally getting adopted by his two dads. However, the teacher, or the substitute teacher, allegedly told her, gave her opinion. She said, Van Amstel said the substitute teacher was giving her very clear opinion that two men is wrong. He also said he said, this is what she said. She said that homosexuality is wrong, and yeah, so you can imagine that set us off. We are not letting this go. The Van Amstel and his husband were very pleased that the school did deal with the issue. They have let that substitute teacher go, and they said that she would never be teaching in their school again. He also made the point that there were 3 girls in the same class with their son, who asked her to stop multiple times. When she didn't, they went to complain. Van Amstel said, "I'm very proud of the 3 girls in the school for standing up for our family against this bully. I'm disgusted that the bully is the teacher in a public school." That's a very interesting point, because most of the time, especially at that young of an age, and especially when you go through public school up to high school, teachers really should not be, at least in my opinion, should not be expressing their opinions about whether it's a political issue, their beliefs to an extent. They're not saying that they can't have opinions and that they can't tell their opinions, but they need to be very sensitive as to how they go about talking about issues and that kind of things, especially especially if you know if a student is in a adoptive situation and he does have 2 dads. It is becoming more common, but it's still relatively new, especially to some of the public, to the education system to a degree. I have 2 parents. They have in my opinion, have tried to stay very neutral when it comes to these things. My mom works in an elementary school, actually in a 5th grade classroom. My dad works at a high school, like freshman, sophomore level. So they kind of deal with all different kinds of issues to a degree, but never something to this extent. And even if they did, they wouldn't come out right and say their opinions. I remember when I was in high school, and Caitlin too, because like I said before, Caitlin and I went to the same high school. Our senior year, we had to take a government and econs class, and it was kind of interesting when my class had the start of our class, because it was right around the time that President Trump was inaugurated into office. So we got to be there. We got to be in that class for his first like 100-day period and all this stuff that went on during the first few months of his presidency. But what was interesting was our teacher, he was able to kind of tell both sides of the issue to try to make us understand a little bit easier, because we were 17 and 18-year-old kids. Like, we know most things that are going on, but we might not understand the full depth of the issue. So I was very grateful for a teacher who was able to try to explain complex situations to us like that, and I think that's what we need. We need more teachers. We need to have teachers like that in the public system to help kids form their opinions, but also to teach them both sides and that kind of thing. So I think there needs to be a little bit more of that, and it's okay to have your opinions, just maybe don't express them, especially to kids that young, and especially if you're a substitute teacher, try to be a little more inclusive in that way. When you don't know the kid, you don't know the family, maybe you need to do that a little bit more. All right, let's see, what else do we have here? For fans of, if you've seen the show Euphoria, or if you've seen The Kissing Booth, which came out on Netflix, I believe 2 years ago, you know who Jacob Elordi is. He played the older brother Noah in The Kissing Booth, and he plays, I believe, Nate on Euphoria. I haven't actually seen the show, but I believe that's who he plays. And his co-star Zendaya, who, if you know her, you might know her from Disney Channel Shake It Up. She was in The Greatest Showman 2 years ago, which I love that movie, by the way. It was amazing. She's also been in the more recent Spider-Man movies with Tom Holland. But Jacob Elordi and Zendaya, they are co-stars on the show Euphoria. And they have been sparking romance rumors. This is not the first time they've done this. I think they were spotted over Thanksgiving in Australia. And people were like, oh, they're together in Australia. They must be together, blah, 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 blah. Well, Jacob Elordi put those rumors to rest, and he said, she is more like my sister. I love being a co-star with her. She is super kind. She is awesome to be around, and blah, 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 blah. So they are not together. This was not the first time people thought this. Last year, they were seen in Greece together on vacation, and that's when they first sparked rumors. For her, this is not the first time she has been rumored to possibly be romantically linked to a co-star. She was romantically linked to her Spider-Man co-star Tom Holland. Very briefly, she was connected to Zac Efron, who was her Greatest Showman co-star. But she has won the lottery almost in having some pretty great co-stars, not just as actors, but just as people in general. All three of those have been pretty interesting co-stars. They've been very dynamic in their abilities, their personalities, super nice. She's been able to get along with them. It sounds like she hasn't had any troubles like some people do. So it sounds like she is definitely taking on the entertainment industry. She's what I like about her. She's young. I want to say she's maybe 22, I think. She's young and she has a lot of projects under her belt. She was a Disney kid. She has done blockbuster movies. She's done now this HBO TV series. She's doing a lot and she's very bold. She loves fashion. She loves makeup. She loves all that stuff. She has I agree with a lot of her opinions. She seems to be super nice. She seems to be super funny. So I'm happy for her. I mean, hey, if she ends up with one of those guys, great for her. I think it would be a great match. But I don't know. She's just one of those because I remember watching her when I was a kid and Shake It Up was on. I remember watching her and I was like, oh, she's so cute. She seems to be super good friends. She then was on Dancing with the Stars when she was like 16, and you could kind of see, because I was like around the same age. I was probably 14 or 15, and you could she was kind of growing up on that. I was watching her grow up on that. Like it was an interesting I don't know, it was an interesting time. So I like, especially younger actors, when younger actors or younger people like in the entertainment industry, watching them grow up, especially if I'm relatively around the same age. Not that I super understand, being in the spotlight a lot or all that stuff, but it's kind of nice to watch someone who's kind of in similar stages of your life, how they deal with certain things, and when they're asked like important questions or different questions or something you might not think about, how they react, and you're like, oh, how do I respond to that? So I do think both of them, when they're asked about like these romance rumors, they're just like, well, we're just really good friends, and you don't have to be, if you work together, you don't have to be romantically linked. Sometimes you might even not like that person. So it's kind of nice to see that they do get along, and they're like, nope, we're just really good friends. We don't need to be romantically linked, and that's okay. All right, we're going to take a short break. We'll be right back. All right, just a reminder, download the WSYC app and stream our station anywhere, anytime. Check out DJ bios, show schedule, fun trivia, and more, available for Apple and Android devices. All right, so this next person I'm talking about, I like to talk about him a lot because, he's from my area, I'm from my hometown. He graduated from one of the high schools near me. But he's also a very dynamic guy. He's a nice guy, but he's funny. You can tell that he's super loving and that kind of thing. And I just like to talk about him a lot. Dwayne Johnson, or Dwayne The Rock Johnson, as a lot of people know him. He most recently in August, he married his longtime partner Lauren. And he opened up a little bit as to he was asked why it took so long for them to get married, because he and his wife Lauren, they were together following the end of his first marriage. So from about 2007 and onward, the two of them do have two girls, Jasmine and Tiana, and then Johnson shares a daughter with his ex-wife. However, he and his ex-wife have maintained a pretty close relationship. He was asked if the end of his first marriage contributed to him waiting to tie the knot again. He said, "I think so. My divorce did a number on me. I wasn't fearful of getting married again. There was just some hesitancy, but Lauren was incredibly patient." And he said, "I love you. You love me. We have this amazing life together. No pressure." So I don't know. He just seems like a guy who has gone through life. I remember watching an interview from a few years ago when Oprah was kind of doing these almost like behind the scenes on actors and singers and that kind of thing, and kind of like pivotal moments that kind of changed the course of their life almost. And he talked about, because his family moved around a lot, he was getting into trouble with the law. He said there was this one football coach that really changed his perspective on life and changed his point of view and helped him realize that, hey, I need to get out of trouble or I'm not going to make it, and that kind of thing. And that was kind of his changing moment. So it's kind of interesting to hear his story and how he's kind of evolved as a person as he's gotten older, and that kind of thing. Yeah, so I'm looking forward to seeing he has actually two new movies coming out fairly soon. The next installment of the Jumanji series, and then Jungle Cruise is coming out in 2020. So, speaking of movies, Frozen 2, I said last week, the weekend before Thanksgiving, its opening weekend, it made $350.2 million at the box office. Since then, globally, it has made more than $738 million globally. So Frozen 2 seems to be doing pretty well. I can't wait to see it. That's one of the ones I'm waiting to see that's next on my list. I also want to see some other ones, but that's kind of at the top at the moment. But yeah. All right. Next topic I have, for the Bachelorette fans, I said last week, Hannah Brown, who was the most recent Bachelorette, she just won Dancing with the Stars with her partner Alan. And then a few days later, her now, I guess, ex-fiance, Jed Wyatt, he became Instagram official, apparently, with his new girlfriend, Ellen. He has apparently moved on from The Bachelorette, and he revealed over the holiday that he does have a girlfriend named Ellen, calling her the only person to make me smile more than riding a jet ski. I'm not 100% sure exactly what that means. But yes, he has now become, I guess infamous would be the word, as he got engaged to the Bachelorette, Hannah Brown, and then just a little while after they became engaged, reports came out that he had a girlfriend still while he was on the show, and when he became engaged to Hannah. So, yeah, not a good move there, buddy. And I don't understand. Okay, not that I super understand the whole universe that is the Bachelor and Bachelorette, because I really don't. But if you're going on a show where generally you end in an engagement at the end, how does someone consciously have some chick or some guy at home and you're going to deceive this person that you're going on the show for? I know a lot of people do it to get some sort of following, get famous, I don't know. But but then you get all the negative following, though. Like, you are now the bad girl or the bad guy who has some boyfriend or girlfriend at home while you're on the show trying to win the heart of whoever you're trying to win the heart of. Plus, that's just a lot to remember. Like, I don't get why people do that. This is not the first time where there is someone who has had a girlfriend or a boyfriend back at home. Actually, earlier on in Hannah's season, some guy was sent home like within hours of him stepping foot at the mansion. He had a girlfriend back at home, and Hannah found out and sent him home immediately. So I do not get why people do that. It's just messy. Like, it's just, no, I don't get it. But, ugh. All right, enough on that topic. All right, someone I really want to talk about, Nick Jonas and Priyanka Chopra Jonas. A few days before they celebrated their first wedding anniversary, Priyanka woke her husband Nick Jonas up with a new little German Shepherd puppy. Oh my gosh, it was so cute. Nick had no idea what was going on, and it took him a while to like figure out exactly what was going on. And now he has this cute little German Shepherd puppy, and I think the puppy has its own Instagram page, and I believe the puppy's name is Gino, and he's super, super cute, super, super adorable. And everyone is now just in love with the puppy. But following that, Nick and Priyanka have celebrated their first wedding anniversary, which was on December 1st. If anyone remembers last year, when they got married, everyone was making just jokes that they had like 18 weddings and had all this, all this stuff. It was only, I think it was 2, maybe 3. One Western Christian wedding for Nick and his family and his faith, and then a Hindi wedding for Priyanka and her family and all of them, and it was a mashing of the two sides. There are a lot of other ceremonies and stuff on the Hindu side for Priyanka and for her family, and a lot of the ceremonies were bringing both of the families together. But yeah, one of the probably more famous things from their wedding was in the Christian wedding, she wore this beautiful white dress and then had a 75-foot veil / train thing, which I want to know how she walked down that super long aisle and how heavy. I want to know how heavy that thing was, because it took like 5 or 6 people to hold the veil at the end to get it down the aisle. But yeah, I remember last year was a lot of there were a lot of weddings around the same time. Like I said, Nick and Priyanka, Meghan Trainor and her husband Daryl Basara. Babara, sure, that's how you say his last name, who was one of the Spy Kids in the Spy Kids films. There was also Miley Cyrus and Liam Hemsworth, which that is clearly not working out anymore. And I think there was one other one, and I know I'm forgetting who it is. But there was a lot of weddings in December, celebrity weddings in December. So, yeah. But, yeah, so congratulations to them. First wedding anniversary. I'm glad to see that some still work out. But yeah. All right. One more. Another thing I have here. Some people might be familiar with the TV series The Vampire Diaries. The Vampire Diaries ran from 2009 to 2017. To kind of give a premise, a major storyline was a love triangle between Damon Salvatore, was played by Ian Somerhalder, and Stefan Salvatore was played by Paul Wesley, and then also the girl, Nina Dobrev, she played Elena Gilbert, and there was kind of a love triangle between those three characters. So that was a major storyline. Nina Dobrev left at the end of season 6, and then the show ran for 2 more seasons, and then she came back for the series finale. So if you have not seen Vampire Diaries, don't listen for the next few seconds. But at the end of the series, Stefan Salvatore's character had died, and Damon and Elena ended up together, and they walked into a beautiful afterlife after years of marriage and kids and blah, 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 blah. All right. The last night, Paul Wesley was on the Watch What Happens with Andy. Can't remember his last name, but Andy, and they go through kind of they get questions from fans. Andy has a few questions and that kind of thing. So someone said, did you like the ending? Would you have changed it? Paul Wesley said he would have wanted a different ending for Vampire Diaries. He had a different ending in mind. He said, I think honestly I would have liked both brothers should have died. And I feel good about the ending, although I would have liked that Elena, the girl at the end of the show, that all her memory was wiped and went on to live a normal life and forgot that we ever existed. I think that would have been nice. Everyone thought that his idea was well planned out, and the other guest that was on, who was Jane Lynch, she said, wow, you should be writing this show. So, I think it's interesting when you talk to actors who were on such popular shows, especially like a teen drama like that, where you have a lot of people, especially in the preteen to teen era, who's watching that show and growing up with those characters. But I think it's interesting when you talk to actors after those shows have ended and how they would have wanted the show to end. Because a lot of them are like, either I want it really, really happy or I want it really, really dark. This is almost kind of in the middle, and I think it's actually a really idea. As someone who watched the show, I think it's an interesting idea, because it would definitely add a different layer to it. Because, she would forget two loves of her life, and then she was also a character that she was human, but then found out she was a doppelganger, and then she turned into a vampire, and then she wasn't a vampire anymore. She became a human, and we, especially probably in the last decade, I think probably due to like the Twilight books and the movies and all of that, we've definitely come up with really, really liking the vampire characters and definitely romanticizing them, but also showing the violent side of what a vampire is. And like, we're supposed to be scared of them, but we're not. There's some sort of mystery, and this is totally from a girl who uh, uh, is no longer a teenager, but it has not been very long since she was a teenager. So she kind of gets all of these perspectives. So, but as far as the show goes, I think that's actually a really interesting idea. It adds a new layer to the show. It adds a new layer to her character. In a way, you could almost kind of do a spin-off of that. You could, I don't know, there's a lot of things you could even do with that if, let's say, you wanted to continue that particular series. But yeah, I think it's just interesting, and I think it's interesting in the ways that we've come up with different ways to end shows and that kind of thing. I remember when Pretty Little Liars was going off, and one of them, I think it was the one who plays Aria, who is Lucy Hale. She had a very dark ending to the show. I think she wanted like a lot of people to die, or people not end up together. So it's interesting when you talk to actors who are on these shows, and you're like, do you want it all to end in this way? Do you want it all to end happy? Do you want it all to end dark? Do you want to, like, I don't know, walk off into the sunset, or do you want to I don't know, just be done with it? And if you are not quite done with it, would you ever want to come back and do it again? Like, those kinds of questions, those are really interesting, because especially when you play those characters for so long, you're kind of like, is this person still interested in playing this character after so long? So those are some interesting questions. Yeah. All right, we're going to take another short break. We'll be right back. All right, and we're back. All right, so now that Thanksgiving has passed, And we are in December. We are getting into the swing of Christmas and stuff. I now finally feel that it is time to listen to Christmas music. I am not one of those people that likes to listen to Christmas music until December 1st. I used to be where it had to be like the day after Thanksgiving, but I am now more of a December 1st. Okay, I can finally listen to Christmas music. I like a lot of the classic Christmas songs, but I also like in the classic way that you've always heard them, like Bing Crosby and the Andrews Sisters, and some others of that era. I like Louis Armstrong, Is That You, Santa Claus, and there are some others from that era that I prefer to listen to, but I do like a lot of the new versions of a lot of those songs. I like a lot of pentatonics arrangements of those songs. I love Josh Groban. So we'll listen to him. We'll listen to Josh Groban probably mostly in our house. I remember as a kid we also had Vanessa Williams' album of Christmas stuff. We had Carrie Underwood's album of Christmas stuff. We had a lot of different artists in different genres, different artists from different eras, and that kind of thing. So that's kind of where all my Christmas stuff comes from. As far as Christmas movies go, I cannot. I do not ever want to watch Elf again. There's only so many times a person can watch a grown man in tights eat spaghetti with candy and chocolate. I don't want to say that I don't. No, I don't like the movie. I really don't. I think it's one of those, I've seen it so many times. We watched it 30,000 times when we were in school, and it was getting down to Christmas, and our teachers didn't know what to do with us. So we watched it so many times in school. I don't really want to watch Christmas Story ever again. I don't really want to watch. I'll watch Christmas Vacation, but that is not one of my favorites anymore because I like the movie, but now I know all of the jokes and I know when they're going to come in. So now it's not as fun of a movie to watch. But then on the other hand, every year we watch, as a family, we watch White Christmas. And I love White Christmas. And I will watch that every year. And it never gets old for me. I absolutely love it. I also like, we discovered this movie a few years ago, Holiday Inn, which is another Bing Crosby movie. It also has Fred Astaire in it. Bing Crosby opens, he decides to leave show business and open, and he decides he wants to go into farming. Well, after a year, he goes, okay, this is too hard, so now I'm going to open an inn that is only open on the holidays. So Christmas, New Year's, Valentine's Day, they were also doing President's Days like George Washington's birthday and Abraham Lincoln's birthday, Easter Sunday, like all these different holidays. So I like to watch that movie. The only thing is that there is one part where, now I think this movie was done in the 40s, early mid 40s, I think. So they were still using blackface at one point. So that part of the movie, I prefer to skip that part of the movie. But other than that, I like the movie. So those are but I think ultimately White Christmas is my favorite. And now Netflix is releasing a lot of movies. The third Christmas Prince movie comes out later this week, and there are some others that have come out on Netflix. So I'm looking forward to watching a lot of those this year. All right, well, thank you for tuning in to another installment of Behind the Scenes. Thank you for listening to WSYC 88.7 FM, and make sure to look for the Behind the Scenes Facebook page, and we will talk to you next time. It might be in the new year, so Happy New Year, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, Happy Holidays, all of that stuff. And we'll talk to you sometime soon. Thank you.
Is that a faucet running?
That's not a faucet. That's a river rushing through the forest. Forest rivers provide over 100 million people with clean water to drink.
What? I can't hear you because of the vacuum.
That's not a vacuum. That's the trees in the forest cleaning up the air we breathe.